Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for a very exciting Azamara webinar. My name is Anna. I'm an Industry Relations Specialist here at CLIA, and I'm going to just quickly go through some housekeeping before introducing our presenter. The webinar will run about 35 minutes with time for questions at the end. Feel free to type your questions into the questions module of the webinar, and we'll get to them at the conclusion of the presentation. The webinar is being recorded, and it'll be posted on CLIA's YouTube channel, which is CLIA Global. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Bob Niesler. Bob lives in West Chicago, Illinois, and has been an Azamara SBDM for 4 years. He covers the upper Midwest out of Chicago. Take it away, Bob.
Hey, thank you, Anna. I really appreciate being here today. It's funny when you say 4 years, because in my mind, it doesn't seem like that long, but we just hired our dedicated sales staff 4 years ago. Because it used to be something that Royal Caribbean and Celebrity used to promote in their sales calls, because we didn't have any Azamara reps at the time. So Azamara went ahead and hired their own sales staff, and that's where I began 4 years ago, representing the North Central region, which is pretty much about 11 states up in the upper Midwest. Chicago, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North and South Dakota, Ohio, Michigan, Missouri, etc. I'm pretty much representing everybody, and I do have a freshman in college right now at the University of Missouri, which is a lot of fun. So that's within my territory, thankfully. And just we call it up here, we call it Midwest nice, especially Minnesota nice, but Midwest nice. So I appreciate you having me today, and it's really great opportunity to talk about Azamara. And you're going to notice as we're talking here, I'm not saying Azamara Club Cruises. And that's with a very good reason, that we actually got rid of the Club Cruises portion of our name, and we are now Azamara. And so here's a couple of things that I want to go over before we actually begin the broadcast. My first kind of experience on Azamara was back right after I started 4 years ago, and Azamara sent me in my second week. They said, "You're going to Greece." I said, "Fine, twist my arm. I'm happy to." So the first destination was the Greek Isles: Patmos, Mykonos, Santorini, Rhodes, etc. And I remember that the first morning when we pulled up to Mykonos, the excitement I had, because my stateroom was dark, I went over and I opened up those blinds, and I had my first glimpse of Greece, of Mykonos. The crystal blue water, the crystal blue sky with all those whitewashed buildings set against the rocky terrain. And I knew I had arrived. I knew I was in Greece, and it was every morning. So the first day was Mykonos, second day was Santorini, third day was Patmos. You wake up with this sense of adventure and entitlement. Not really entitlement, but more kind of ownership. Let's say ownership of that area. So that was my first venture into Azamara, and I knew why I loved it so much. So today what we're going to talk about are a couple of different parts of Azamara, what I really think are kind of the nuts and bolts to what's important. So Anna, I'm going to actually have you do me a favor. If everybody could use their chat function right now, and on a scale from 1 to 5, just type a number, 1 to 5. 5 is that you are an Azamara expert, and 1 is that you don't know anything about the brand. I'd be really interested to see how you are right now, where you are right now with your Azamara knowledge, because it'll help me in my discussion as well, because I imagine a lot of the items that we're going to talk about are completely new to you. There might be some things that you recall, but I really want to provide those nuts and bolts of really how to go out and sell Azamara and how we differentiate as a brand. So Anna, at your convenience, if you could just tell me a couple of the numbers, that would be great, just so we can go ahead and get an idea of our who's listening today and who's viewing.
Sure. It looks like we have a lot of 1s, some 2s, and some 3s.
Yeah.
And then we have a 3.5.
Oh, a 3.5. That half makes a difference. So here's the thing with that, and thank you, Anna. that's where we want you to be right now. And that's why we are out here presenting, because, you know, if you came in and you said you were a 5, well, really, you know everything you need to know. The majority of the time, and I told Anna I did a couple of, webinars this morning. There was the same thing. There was 1s, there was 2s, there were 3s. So here's my kind of goal for today, is to go ahead and get you up a notch, to gain a number, gain a level. I do really encourage that you have your cell phone with you, because there's going to be some slides that I'm going to recommend you taking a picture of so you can save it. And then I highly recommend you have a notepad with you, because there's going to be some things that we're going to want to share. But without further ado, we do have to leave our friend here, the trusty llama here in Peru, and we'll move on. So this is a very interesting slide right now as we start. So the affluent travelers prioritize new destinations and where they're going to be traveling to while making their travel decisions. So this is not opening up, guys, with some pictures of our staterooms, and I like it that way. So we're opening up with more details that we can provide to you to kind of give you some insight into what is going on in the travel industry right now, especially what's happening with the affluent traveler. How are they changing? So I love this. 81% of affluent travelers prefer a new destination on their next trip. So what that's telling me is they have a port bucket list. They are looking for new destinations where maybe in the Caribbean, it's a new island. Maybe in the Adriatic, when they go to Croatia, you know, it's always going to be Dubrovnik, because Dubrovnik is amazing. But now they're looking for Split and Hvar and Sebenik. So they're looking for these out-of-the-way ports. That fits perfectly with our brand, which I'll tell you about in a minute. 72% of affluent travelers are looking for a new perspective on the world. They're looking for cultural immersion. They're looking for more than just material goods. They want to be touched from a cultural level. 68% prefer new experiences than relax. I thought this was interesting because, you know, you think about that relaxation, those sea days and things. Well, that's 68% are saying, no, I'd rather be off the ship first thing in the morning. I'd rather be back onto the ship last tender at night. And that's exactly who the Azamara guest is. So all of these, by design, are fitting into our narrative. 63% have participated in an organized tour or activity. So they already know the plan of how to cruise. So destination immersion means a lot. It means longer stays, more overnights, and night touring. It also means cruising globally, connected locally. We're connecting with the local culture when we cruise. We're not just cruising, but we're doing very special things once we're there. It's about very immersive itineraries. And my director, Katie Gerhardt, actually just got off of this voyage, the Circle Japan voyage, with a quick stop in Busan, South Korea, where we actually did our Amazing evening, to really get your guests more knowledge about that area. Remember, this is what they want. They want more ports. They want to go somewhere different. So we're providing that for them. And Katie said that the mind just blew her, or the trip just blew her mind. It was amazing. So more immersive itineraries all around the globe, whether it be Scotland, Israel, Spain, etc. They're looking for land and sea. They want to do things from a land perspective, and they want to do things on the ship. And of course, they're looking to explore further. We provide this to them in a myriad of different ways at Azamara, because it's not about the ship. It's not all about the ship. It's about that luxury premium plus product that we have on the ship, with the greatest dining, entertainment, anything you need under one roof. But you're also getting the land immersion, overnight experiences, stay local, where we can set up for your guests pre's and posts in iconic cities such as Athens, Barcelona, Tokyo, etc., and set them up in 4 to 5 star accommodations and put together a list of shore excursions for them. It's not like we're just dropping them off at the hotel and saying, see ya, have fun. We're providing them with the Azamara experience, but off the ship. Land journeys, globally, and my favorite, the Azamazing journeys, where they're smaller groups, 12 to 18 people. They're like-minded travelers, and we're really getting into the in-depth portion of these regions, pre and post cruise. So folks, we're always going to have the cruise component, but there's the pre's and the posts that really make the difference of bringing more destination immersion to light. Now, I think this slide is a little wordy, so I do apologize, but that symbol on the left shows just how much, land traveling is going on. Land is the vast majority, but we want to bring the cruise component to the land. So over 1,700 land components we're bringing, land journeys, over 40 countries, largest selection of unique pre and post programs in the cruise industry. They're on every Azamara voyage, limited guest quantity, so there's that intimacy there. Commissionable on top of cruise fare commission, set up as add-ons, not a cruise tour, very important, and complete travel experience, 4 or 5 star hotels, etc., done only in the Azamara way. So this is really this direction that we're going in. So now we call ourselves Azamara. It's no longer Azamara Club Cruises. We're now called Azamara, which I think is a really cool, hip name. It's mysterious, just like our cruise line, and I love the logo. But we are Azamara now, and this is how it's going to look in every capacity, on ship and off. So Azamara is now just on its own Azamara. We could not do this, though, without the help of our partners across the globe. So, for instance, back in May, I was called by my director, Katie Gerhardt, and it was a normal, night, 7 o'clock at night here, watching TV. She calls and says, hey, Bob, do you want to go to South Africa? We want you to scout Mikado for us. Well, what do you think I said? I jumped in, and I'm like, again, twist my arm. I'm there. She's like, well, do you have any plans this week or whatever week? And I said, I don't care. I'm still going. So I went. It was mind-blowing. Mikado is perfect, and it's a great partnership for us because they have the same standards we do. So your clients, when they go to South Africa, can enjoy the cruise and then a pre or post to visit Kapama Lodge with game drives at Kruger National Park. They can enjoy the winelands. They can enjoy the Victoria Falls, etc. Mikado does it right. You are handheld along the way so that you are confident and comfortable, and it's partnering with Azamara. It's amazing. A&K, Perry Golf voyages all across the world to some of the most exclusive courses. You just leave your clubs, we'll take care of your clubs, you have a Perry Golf host, and off you go to golf some of the best courses around the world. Coulter, Peru, etc. Just amazing partners. We couldn't do it without them. So we've already kind of gone through this. We have our Azamazing journeys, we have our land journeys, we have our stay local, but just remember that you're going to be hearing more and more about this as we move on. Land is a critical part now to our portfolio because our travelers have told us we are experiential. We want more land. So if we can provide them with the cruise and then all of the destination immersion that they receive on the cruise, then they can also do a pre or post all around the globe. It's on every sailing. So that's really good for you guys because it's one-stop shopping. So take note of that. Now we're to a very crucial part, halfway through our presentation, almost, of talking about what our bread and butter is as a company. Everybody always asks me, who are you most like? And I say nobody. I know that there's a lot of cruise lines that we sort of compare to, or the trades compare us. I really don't think so. All cruise lines are awesome. They all excel at different things. They all deliver different highlights. This is ours. So if you could take a picture of this or write this down, longer stays, more overnights, and night touring. We stay longer in port than any other cruise line, period. So that's impactful. Let me ask you a very quick question, and you can use the chat function if you'd like. If you were to ask one of your clients right now, would you like to stay longer in port when you visit the Mediterranean? Would you like to stay until 10, 11 o'clock at night instead of 5 or 6? Would you like to overnight in Venice or Barcelona? What do you think they'd say? Well, they're going to say yes. They're really going to want to. Maybe, and Anna, I don't know if you're seeing any responses, but
I am, yes. We are seeing a lot of yeses.
Yeah, that's now, unless, of course, because everybody's different. Maybe you have some casino fans, etc., that would rather be on the ship, and that's fine. There's places for them, but our folks want to be on the ship, enjoying it at night, but they want to be off the ship during the day to be able to explore. Now, we have things going on the ship during the day. The ship doesn't close down. We have historical lecturers, our restaurants are open, the Mosaic Cafe for coffee and tea is open. Things are hopping on the ship, but people are off the ship, enjoying destination. So when you look at it, we overnight more than anybody, all 7 continents, 375 unique ports, and here's a kind of a snapshot of how much we overnight. So if you look at Azamara in that middle column, 49% percentage of late night overnights. That's huge. And here's why it's huge. Because your clients want this. They're just not telling you right when they walk through the door that they want more time in port. They're coming in and they're talking about what they're used to talking about. They're used to the talk track about kind of stateroom size, and they're used to talking about dining. Where can I eat? How much can I save? How much onboard credit can I get? Where do we go? This shows exactly why we lead the pack in terms of destination immersion. More time in port. It's what your clients want. If I could make a restaurant right now and build it with just what my clients want, I'd be a multi-billionaire because they'd eat it all. It's what your clients want. So it's just a growing trend, and we're extremely excited with this. So the next portion of what people love on board, because we have a very high repeat factor for a small, mysterious company that does not advertise, that only has 3 ships, small ships, but they're part of the Royal Caribbean family. We do a lot of extras to really make all of our guests feel special. One of them is called an Azamazing Evening. So an Azamazing Evening is complimentary, it's exclusive, it's bespoke, and we do this once per voyage. And this is our way at night to introduce our guests to the local culture through music and food and dance and all of that good stuff. So they are immersed into the destination. It's complimentary, and I'll give you a for instance. When we travel to St. Petersburg, Russia, not only because of the size of our ship, we can dock right downtown St. Petersburg on the Neva River, 3 blocks from the Hermitage Museum, where the other ships, the larger ships, are 45 minutes outside of town on the Gulf of Finland. So do the math, that's 45 minutes into town, 45 minutes back, hour and a half on a motor coach. We dock right downtown because of the small size of our ship. But for our Azamazing Evening there, we take all of our guests to the St. Petersburg Philharmonic, historical building. We have a champagne greeting, and we have a private performance by the St. Petersburg Symphony Orchestra. Private. The captain is there, greets everyone with champagne. You walk into this beautiful Philharmonic, you sit down, and you have the show of a lifetime. St. Petersburg Symphony Orchestra, private. Maybe it's flying in tenors to Livorno, or here in this picture, an a cappella band, Europe's most famous, in fact, in Koper, Slovenia. I was just there in July. This square, Tito Square, is only 5 minutes from where we docked the boat. You walk 5 minutes. We filled it, and we had food tables around the entire outside of it with local meats, local cheeses, local breads, and local wines. An evening to remember. That's once per voyage, and it's complimentary. And your clients will ask for it again and again and again. Where is it at? Where's it at? Where's it at next time? This photo is of a white night. So a white night is something special that we do as well. And everybody gets dressed up in as much white as possible. And we have a party under the stars while we're docked. And it is the best dinner you've ever had. It's, you know, lobster shell or lobster tails and filet out on the Weber grills. Cocktails are flowing, live music, dancing, sushi bar, everything. It's just absolutely amazing. So that's another thing. Mine in July was in Amalfi. So imagine the picture of Amalfi. You're tender off of Amalfi. You've got the sun going down over the mountains, over the hills, over Amalfi. Sun's going down, and you're on this ship having a party like this. People tell us that they will be tendered next to us, or they will be in a dock next to us. And they're like, we wanted to come on your ship. We want to do that because that looks like fun. You guys get it. And we do. It's just, you know, people need to know about it. Guys, this is a product, Azamara. This is a product that's very much sold. It's not bought, meaning we have to be a little more proactive because we're not mass market and we don't advertise. The phones generally are not ringing asking for Azamara by name. We have to introduce the brand to them. It's a product that's sold, not bought. So our ships, 3 ships, the Azamara Journey, the Azamara Quest, and the Azamara Pursuit. All of these are exactly the same inside and out. 690 passengers only, 2 sets of elevators only. You can be anywhere on the ship in 5 minutes. And everything you could imagine under one roof. I like to think of Azamara as the front of the ship is going to be all of your entertainment options, the cabaret theater, the living room, etc. The rear of the ship is going to be all your dining options, from Prime C to Aquilina to Discoveries to Windows Cafe, you name it. So we have everything under one roof. Your clients will not go back hungry, that's for sure. This is a very important slide as well, so I'd recommend you take a little snapshot with your phone on this, just because it is, I believe, very impactful. Because, you know, I think of our travel advisors, they're not just travel advisors, they are value interpreters. So they're value interpreters. They're interpreting the value of the voyage or of the vacation for the client. And it's not always money. Value can also mean, what are you getting out of it culturally, educationally, etc. So this is really cool because this is the value, what they're getting. First of all, our rates are streamlined and in line with other cruise lines, but also you get this on top of it. If you look to your left, complimentary Amazing evening. Your gratuities are included. They're not expected, they're not needed, they're not wanted. Gratuities are included, so you do not need to worry about tipping anybody. There's a value component that you can tell your clients. Spirits, international beers, wines, all day long, not just at meal times. So you can tell your clients, not only are you getting beverages for free, your Bloody Marys, your gin and tonics, your beers, your wines, but it's also gratuity free. There's no gratuities on board. All of your food, the majority of it is 100% covered, even 24-hour room service. The only 2 restaurants that you would have to pay for if you're not in a suite would be our signature dining restaurants, Aquilina and Prime C. Both are excellent. And then we do have a chef's table as well in Prime C, and that would be at a cost as well because it's unreal. But those are the only options that you would have to pay for. So essentially, you could get on board and basically spend no money if you don't want to. Okay, so shuttle service to and from port communities, self-service laundry options, etc. For suite guests, even more, including English butler service. I had an interesting question today asking about butlers, saying, hey, you know, are they too intrusive? No, you can have them as involved or as not involved as you like. They're perfectly happy to do whatever you need. So you would just let them know. Now, every rep that you talk to talks about their crew. Granted, I agree. They say that their crew is the best in the industry. I agree with that one as well. I believe we have the best crew in the industry. But what I want to talk about when I show a photo like this is not just how we have the best crew in the industry, but why. We have small ships, and our crew members, including the captains, and I'm friends with, there's only 2 people I've not met in this picture. I'm friends with all of these people for the most part, and they're amazing human beings. And they are visible on all of the cruises. You will see them, you will hear from them, you can talk to them. They will set up lifelong relationships with you if you want. Captain Johannes, second from left at the top, has been known to invite, he lives in Charleston. He's from Norway, but he lives with in Charleston with his wife. He's been known to invite guests out to dinner when they travel into Charleston. They're the most warm people, the most genuine people, the most giving people that you're ever going to meet. And that's why turnover is at a very all-time low. So it's about the crew experience. It's about the relationships that you build on board. It is truly family. And I can tell you, I sail with Azamara about 3-4 times a year. It just completely warms my heart and also blows me away every time I see the human condition on board. It's amazing. So something to think about. Now, some of this won't apply to you as you are 1s and 2s maybe on your Azamara journey of knowledge, but some of it will. So this area right here, what we call the den, it's midship, center portion of the ship. It's called the den. This used to be our casino. So on the Pursuit, we have no casino right now. And on the other 2 ships, we're taking them out. We're replacing them with this. And I can tell you on the Pursuit, this is one of my favorite places on the ship. Not only do you have the awesome lounge, and by the way, there's other lounges all over the ship. So it doesn't just have to be this lounge, but it's a place to unwind. It's a place to power up. It's a place to relax. And I just love the entire feel. And just to let you know, the reason that for now we got rid of the casinos is they just weren't generating any revenue for us. We're a land company, we're in port, so they'd sit empty all day. So that was one of the reasons behind it. I just wanted to show a couple of pictures of our staterooms to show you the decor, of course. They're light, they're bright, every amenity you could ask for. Here's one thing that's interesting for anybody out there. So I'm on the road a lot, and I stay in a lot of hotels. And I always try to pick, wherever I can find a Drury Inn, I try to pick the Drury, just because I know this sounds weird. They have lots of USB ports in their office or in their stateroom. So what I do is I try to book one of those because I've got like 4 USBs going at one time. So we do have USB chargers. If you look to the left, that little light next to the bed, they're right underneath that. You have USB consoles on both sides. All American electricity, etc. So you don't have to worry about converting. But beautiful staterooms, very contemporary, very comfortable. The beds are amazing. Your clients will be very well rested. This one I'll get a little bit into. We have about 5 to 6 minutes here. I wanted to let you know how connected we are with the travel community. So we want to provide our travel community and travel advisors with the most tools possible to be able to get things done, to be able to make quotes, to be able to send a glossy flyer. So we have an area for you that you can go to on Cruising Power /Azamara to download flyers, download basically whatever you need, videos, etc., to be able to entice one of your customers. So we do have our land programs coming out. And here we go again. It's visit cruisingpower.com/Azamara for your marketing materials. You can build your own slides, etc. Very important. Really quick, before we get to our last couple of slides, and this, guys, I really would like you to, if you have a chance, really pay attention to this one, because I think it's the most crucial discussion that we have today during our time. So what I like to do in this territory, in my territory, again, Northern Midwest, I like to talk to travel advisors who sell Azamara on a consistent basis. So travel advisors who sell us on a consistent basis, time after time after time, they've gone from being a 0 or a 1 on that knowledge scale. They've gone from making 0 bookings. They don't even know where to start selling Azamara. And now they're bringing in $60,000, $70,000 worth of revenue, maybe even more with Azamara. They all started somewhere. So I like to talk to them, and I'd like to find out, hey, what did you do? What was the thing that flipped the switch? They said, well, you know, these are the things. Number one, who is the Azamara traveler? So we need to know, identify who the Azamara traveler is. Well, it's the experiential traveler with an explorer mindset. They're into cultures, they're into food and wine, and they're into being out in port and experiencing. Now, I'm not talking expedition stuff like, riding on the snow caps on a raging river. Does that make sense? Whitewater rafting or rock climbing or mountain climbing. I'm talking about people who love cultures. When they go to Bangkok, they want to be able to spend as much time in Bangkok as possible. They're going to want to ride the tuk-tuks. They're going to want to do the floating market and have wonderful food coming off of other boats. They're going to want to see the reclining Buddha. They're going to want to do all these things and see all these things because that's what's important to the traveler. You ask, why do you want to go to Santorini? People will say, because I've looked at books and it looks really pretty, but I also want to see a sunset there. You talk to people, why do you want to go to Barcelona? They say, well, I want to go to Barcelona because I want to see the gaudy architecture and I want to eat tapas. You know, everybody travels to these places for a reason. That's our traveler. They want to explore. So think about that of how to find them. Where do you source them? Well, where are the travelers who like experiential travel? I'll give you my first tip, and my first tip is riverboat cruisers. They love Azamara because think of it, it's the same type of thing. It's the same parallel. It's all about the little towns like Kokum and Rudesheim and Regensburg and exploring and getting that sausage sandwich, walking around with a beer during the afternoon, hiking up to or walking up to Kokum Castle. That's what they are into. So riverboat cruising, it's the entertainment, it's the dining, the wine, the whole 9 yards. Slow cruising, not fast cruising. Not looking at your watch, buy a t-shirt at the Hard Rock Cafe and run back onto the ship. This is slow cruising. Okay, so that's, and it's also slow exploring as well in port because of that. I would also look at the evolutionary sale. I would look at people on Celebrity because they're part of our family, and our loyalty programs are 100% reciprocal. So if you look at them, they're a very good option, especially the ones staying in suites, because they don't know about us. It would be a perfect opportunity to let them know about us. And remember, folks, when you have somebody who is online and they book through you, but they book online, you get the credit. So that's really, really good news. But here's the biggest tip of the day before we go on to our tactical offer and then call it a day. Biggest tip of the day, if you want to sell Azamara, raise your hand right now. No, you don't physically have to do it because it might look awkward to the person next to you. But if you want to sell more Azamara, here is the tip of the day. And when I talk to travel consultants who sell us on a consistent basis, they say the same exact thing over and over and over again. It's like a record. If somebody comes into your office or calls you and says, you know, my wife and I, we're looking for a Mediterranean cruise, small ship. We don't like the big ships. We want a small ship sometime next summer. The first question you should ask is, oh, well, very nice, and thanks for your question. Let me ask you, how important are the ports to you? How important is staying longer in ports to you? If you were staying longer, do you think you would like that more? If you were going to Santorini, would you rather be on the ship at 5 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night? I know it's a dumb question, guys, but they're going to say yes. They're going to tell you there's the buy-in. It's going to be there. They're going to say yes, absolutely. That's why I want to go to Santorini. I've always wanted to go to the Greek Isles, and I don't want to go there and be back on the ship at 5, 6 o'clock. I want to have dinner on Santorini at a little taverna eating grilled octopus with a nice cold beer overlooking the caldera at sunset while the other ships are leaving. Boom. What you just did, you built a foundation for an Azamara booking. It's that simple. Now, it's not always going to work because sometimes it depends on itinerary or maybe loyalty, etc. But I guarantee you, if you ask that question the next time somebody calls you and says, we're thinking a Mediterranean small ship next year, what do you recommend? The first question should be about land. How important are the ports to you, and would you like to stay longer in port? Because what's happening here, guys, you're a value interpreter. So you're interpreting the value in this case being the time in port for that customer, for that guest. And you're also immediately getting buy-in that land is what they want, because they do want. It's not like some sort of a scam. They want land. So that's why we say ask that question. And the way that it would go is, hi, Sue, we're looking for a small ship Mediterranean next year. I don't know, what's hot? Do you have any suggestions? Okay, well, first, let me ask this question. So how important is staying longer in port to you? How important are the ports to you, the ports that you visit? Oh, well, Sue, absolutely. That's why my wife and I, we've saved for this. This is something we wanted to do for a long time. You know, I've always wanted to go to Dubrovnik, and I'd like to stay as long as possible if I can do it. Great. Well, first, let me tell you about this company. You've never heard of them. They're called Azamara. They're small ships. They're in the Mediterranean. They're in Asia. They're all 7 continents. And their bread and butter is they stay longer in port than any other cruise line, but they have a luxury premium plus product on board. Non-pretentious. You don't have to bring a suit and tie. You know, for dinners, you're still going to want to wear, especially in signature dining, you know, khakis or slacks and a golf shirt, etc. But you already know that. It's just very relaxed, non-pretentious. 690 passengers. You never have to wait in line. It's the perfect cruise for you guys. So that's the way that these agents who sell us, or travel advisors rather, that sell us on a consistent basis, that's the way that they've made it. And, you know, it might not happen right away. It might take a couple times, but I guarantee you it is going to work. So I encourage everybody to use that. I also encourage everybody to write down 5 names of people that you think would be a good fit for us, and let them know about us, because we need to reach out to them. Even an email will do. Other things to think about are high need dates and low rate dates. We have rates right now at the end of the year. If anybody wants to book those in like this, if you have somebody wanting to go to South America and they're just looking for somewhere to go by the end of the year, we have rates which are ridiculous right now to South America. Australia, New Zealand, amazing rates this winter. So, think across the board, take a look online, peruse through all of the different pages, and always feel free to reach out with any questions. So Anna, that's about it for me. Wanted to see if we had any questions.
We do, and I'll invite everyone to keep them coming in. Our first one is from Mary, who is wondering how ADA accessible the ships are.
Mary, thank you for the questions. It's a very good question. The ships are set up well. We have accessible staterooms in different categories, and I've not only stayed in one, but I've toured them. They're huge, especially the bathroom areas, with all the ADA, assistance you would be looking for, especially in the shower, the toilet area, etc. We do have wheelchairs on board if needed. The only thing is our staff is not allowed to push wheelchairs, so there would have to be a family member or somebody willing to do that, like a companion. It's getting off the ship that's the challenge. So getting off the ship, especially in Europe, they would be on their own, obviously, and it would come down to, I think it really comes down to their traveling companions. If they have somebody that can help them and assist them to get into a chair or maybe a motor scooter and guide them. But on the ship, we do have accessible staterooms, which are very nice. We also have a 24-hour health facility on board and medical facility as well, if needed.
Perfect. This next question is from Stephanie, who's wondering, you mentioned that you compare to celebrity suites, and she's wondering what staterooms would compare.
So if I were to go from and great question, if I were to go from a celebrity suite and they're used to the suite life and the suite concept, I would definitely point them to one of our lower level suites to start, and that would be our Club Continent suite. So our Club Continent suite is our entry level suite, which offers a lot of room, a very nice balcony, but all of the suite components that you would get with that room, like the butler, the concessions like internet and laundry, etc. Or I might even go up a notch. I might even go up a notch to like the Club Ocean suite, which is 2 separate rooms and very comfortable and very livable as well. Once you get under the Club Continent suite, you get to our kind of veranda plus room and our veranda room. And, the rooms are extremely comfortable, but they might not be used to, or they might be used to more space. So I would start in the suite category, but maybe Club Continent suite.
Perfect. Our next question is from Kelly, who is wondering whether or not you typically have families with children traveling during holiday dates and summer itineraries.
Kelly, you get a gold star. No, everybody gets a gold star. Everybody should, because these are good questions. But great question, one that I expected as well. So here's the story with kids. And I'll give you a personal example, and then I'll just give you our example. So our example is, as a company, is we just don't have amenities for kids. We just don't. We have one ping pong table that we'll set up if there's some kids on board. We do it above the pool, kind of in the corner, away from people. And we'll set that up if need be, if we have kids. We just don't have amenities for kids. So the parents or the grandparents or whomever really need to know their kids and really need to know kind of their, I don't know if they're well traveled or not, because this is definitely not the kind of cruise where you want to be running around the pool deck or going up and down the elevator or banging on doors during the middle of the night. This is, you have to kind of know your traveler. So my personal example of this is 99% of the time when I'm on board and there's kids on board, I may see them. I really rarely hear from them, ever. And that you can tell that they have been brought up, they're respectful, they know their peers and all of that. They know that there's not going to be things for them to do, but you can tell they're well-traveled kids that kind of like this lifestyle. So I took my daughters, they were 13 and 17 at the time, and they cried getting off the ship. because they wanted to stay on for another week. And it was like, they like hanging with us. They weren't going off wanting to do other things. They were with us. But even the younger kids, you just don't really hear them. And the parents kind of, you have to know going in that this is not it's not a cruise line that has things for kids to do. Let's just put it that way. But we don't turn them away. We know the value of multi-generational travel and multi-generational travel. And we know that that's a big component for a lot of families. And I do see it. I've seen it in the Baltic. I've seen it in the Caribbean, but you don't really hear from them. Now, the Caribbean, you had asked specifically about the Caribbean. Yeah, you will see some kids on board, a little bit more than other places, but it's definitely not a free-for-all, if that makes any sense, guys.
Perfect. And we do have a follow-up question. What is the average age of the guests during holidays such as Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's and prime summer weeks?
Another great question. So what I'm going to do is, I don't have it broken down by those traveling periods, but I do have it broken down to basically what's on paper for the company. So as a company, kind of a median, we're looking at 59 years old or so on paper. Now, that is going to skew maybe older during longer, more exotic voyages, and it's going to skew younger most of the time for like more of the Caribbean and the close-in areas as well. I've been on board over Thanksgiving. I've been on board over Easter. I've been on board over Mother's Day. And I've seen the same, so I can't really speak to rises or jumps in kids being on board, or the age range being any different as well. I can't answer that. But throughout the year in general, it's pretty level, that 59, 60-year age group, but it does go a little bit higher at sometimes and a little bit lower at sometimes, but that's our median. And to follow up on that question as well, is the majority of the folks on board are going to be, so you've got about half the group on board that's going to be from North America, so from the US and from Canada. You are going to have some Brits on board because we do have a large office in Britain. They're a lot of fun. But what's really fun is we draw very well from Australia and New Zealand. So you will see some Kiwis and some Australians on board, and they tend to have a blast and are very friendly people. And then we do well in Western Europe and things like that. So that's about the kind of the demographic look at who the Azamara traveler is.
All right, thank you for all of that information. Our next question is from Gia, who is wondering if you know of any plans for a seminar at sea for Azamara grads in the near future.
Gia, I love the question. Great question, in fact, because let's face it, you have to get on board. I think everybody, I would fight to get on board, and there's a couple of different ways to do it, like the World Academy. There's an opportunity there for you. There's travel advisor rates on cruising power. We do offer numerous seminars at sea throughout the year. I think there's one remaining this year, and in fact, it's mine. It's November 30th. I'll be doing Rio to Buenos Aires at the end of this year, November 30th. So if that is something of interest, email me at bmeisler@azamara.com. That's B like boy, M like Mary, IE, S like Sam, 2 S's, LER @azamara.com. And we'll see if that's of interest to you. We could get you on that. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot this year or next year. So what I would recommend is, if you are interested in sailing on a seminar at sea, use the email address that I just provided. Email me, because I'm happy to get it to your rep and have them contact you to let you know what the dates are, because they're super fun and super educational. And we're going to have our educational components. We're there to learn about Azamara, but at the same time, we're going to have some one-on-ones to be able to kind of generate some business plans specifically for you. But then we have fun. We're in port, we're exploring. We want you to enjoy Azamara and the benefits of destination immersion.
All right, perfect. And it looks like we have just one question left, and it is from Emily, who is wondering how many cabins constitute a group.
Hello, Emily, and that is a great question. As you can see at the bottom of this, my screen here, always thinking groups. I love groups. I think that had a lot of us to do with our success up in the upper Midwest last year when we won Territory of the Year. But I think the groups are a perfect fit for us. We have a group promotion going on right now, which will until September, the end of September, last day of September. And basically, if you book a group with us, and it has to be a qualified group, it just can't be like a spec group. But if you book a group with us by the end of the month, you get double gap. So it's so amazing because the most I ever give out is 18 gap points. And I've been giving out like 22, 26, and it's like so many gap. But the minimum group size would be 8 staterooms or 16 guests. So 8 staterooms or 16 guests. And then when you think about those gap points, what you can do with them in terms of buying down your TC, etc., it really makes for a phenomenal group opportunity. So let me give you my email again if you'd like to discuss that and have me get you information. It's B like Bravo, M like Mary, IE, SS like Sam, LER at azamara.com.
Perfect, thank you. And I have typed your email into the chat, so everyone should be able to have it now. Perfect. And it looks like that was our last question. So thank you, Bob, so much for all of that information. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Well, we love CLIA and we appreciate the partnership, and we look forward to great things in the future as well, continuing what great we've done. All right, as do we. Have a good one. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.